January. We started with literally 4 or 5 members, now to well over 1,400 people, serving creatives and creators, poets, artists, visual artists, musicians, actors, actresses.
What should members of Spark Infinity be prepared for? What are the live shows about?
We like to interview people and get a sense of who they are, the kind of things they do, highlight them, and especially their amazingness, their personality, their superpowers, whatever makes them great. That's what we like to highlight in those conversations.
So how could members of Spark Infinity also benefit from Bump Global?
For one thing, there are so many amazing heart-centered founders of various niche-based Facebook groups that if you wanted to be interviewed, you could just put yourself in the middle of the storm and find all kinds of groups to be featured in and interviewed in all day long. And the other thing is, if they have the desire and the work ethic to build their own niche-based Facebook group and blow it up, that's another opportunity that's waiting for them. And I only see things growing from there.
Spark Infinity, how are you doing today? We've got another amazing guest, another mini Spark conversation here today with Oswald Hunter. Oswald, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. I know that you have a varied background and you grew up developing many different skills. What did that look like for you?
Oh boy, well, let me tell you, I started growing up in the Netherlands, which is a country really that is based on career and doing as you're told, honestly. So my whole career path has always been consistent with being told what others expect from me and to do that. When it came to my craft, I've learned to dance, I play the French horn, I learned how to sing, and then I worked a very long time in healthcare, which gave me a very basic understanding of human emotion and human connectivity, which I still use to this day, even in my craft.
So you grew up being told what to do. And I mean, I grew up in Japan, so I can kind of share that in common. It's the type of country where the nail that sticks out gets pounded down. You're not really supposed to be unique. You're not supposed to stand out. So there's just a lot of expectations in terms of, well, especially in terms of behavior. But I'm assuming that creativity is actually your passion, right?
Absolutely, and just to jump in there a little bit, in Holland it's not as much as you're not allowed to stick out, but it's more about, the safety, the stability in your career, having a stable income, and just make sure that nothing ever happens, trying to be as risk-free as possible. And that is something that I'm totally not. So when it comes to the creativity, yeah, I pop out very much. I stick out a lot when you compare it to the Dutch culture.
Yeah. Well, in that sense, I kind of have to go against my programming, right, to reclaim who I am because I am just so different than. I mean, I don't want to give the impression that I'm like a unique snowflake. That's not it. But I noticed that a lot of people would go to school and they'd be able to engage in the subjects and get good grades and that kind of thing. Whereas I was always drawing, like being very independent, drawing things in my notebook, coming up with video game concepts, coming up with manga and anime ideas, and conceptualizing mazes. So that's kind of where my creativity went the whole time. I just wasn't doing what everyone else was doing in school. Thus, my
Uh,
experience was also very different.
yeah, exactly. And that's basically how I grew up as well.
Mm,
Always being sort of the outsider, not really fitting in, always having those different types of ideas, wanting to have the different kind of conversations and experimenting with the what ifs instead of the but if you do that. So yeah, being an outsider has already proven that the creativity was there from the very start.
key point. Yeah. And you taught ballroom dancing, or is that something you still continue to do?
Well, I recently moved to yet another country, so I no longer live in Sweden. But I do hope to get back up and teach ballroom dancing. But more specifically, I've taught ballroom dancing for nearly 13 years to mentally challenged and physically challenged people.
And you found that to be a rewarding thing to do.
Well, you know, those people, it's invigorating to see passion in those people. When I started dancing myself at the age of 15, and I was surrounded with everybody else that had the same capacity as I did, it was a matter of status, and it was a matter of who's better than you. Working with people that are mentally handicapped or physically handicapped, they bring back the true joy of what it means to ballroom dance. They showed me that it's not about how good you are, it is about the intent that you put in it.
So you got into French horn, you got into dancing, you got into singing. I
Yeah.
mean, these are the kinds of things that parents would often warn about, right? Like, well, that's nice, it's all good that you're talented and you've developed your skills, but it's really impossible to make money. And like, how did that sort of work for you?
Well, I have to say I'm very blessed when it comes to my mother.
Mm.
She is still playing music to this day, 74 years of age, and still actively playing the clarinet in 2 orchestras. She has always been the key support in expressing myself creatively. So whether it was picking up the horn at the age of 6 or about 7, to dancing when I was 15 and singing later on, she has always pushed me to pursue those. But at the same time, always making sure as well that I have a stable income, that I studied well, that I had a good life, because yeah, you cannot live off of music or dancing that easily.
Absolutely. It takes something. But I think, that one of the reasons this group exists is so that we can each build towards what we want in terms of sustainability and income. Because it's not just about the income. I think there's passion, there's fulfillment, there's enjoyment that inevitably we want to be part of the process. But just having it be sustainable and having be able to earn an income from it would sure be nice too.
Oh, absolutely. And then I'm just gonna jump right into the acting aspect of it.
Yeah.
For 4 years ago, everything that could go wrong in my life went wrong, and I lost everything, including houses, vehicles, and whatnot. Through that whole process, I wanted to find something that would motivate me to just keep on heading into the next day, and I found acting. Yet again, I already was on stage in my teenage years, but never pursued a career in it because, it's all hopes and dreams, but the risks are too high. But then when I lost everything for a couple of years ago, I made a conscious decision, you know what, I don't need the money. Money is sure thing nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to have an income off of my acting, but it's not the key motivation. And when I made that conscious decision, it's not the money, it's not the fame, it is the passion for the craft. I felt so free, I felt so relieved, and then I finally found peace within myself that, you know what, I'm not striving to get rich, I'm doing this because it comes from within.
When things came crumbling down in your life, I actually went through this last year a little bit. I managed to stay within the suite that I was renting, but in a way, like I kind of jokingly started to refer to it as my prison because the lights were on and I could still access the internet, but for a while there did not have the means to like buy food or buy gas and drive or go anywhere.
Yeah.
How are you feeling as that was happening?
For so many years as an adult, I was chasing the nicer car, the nicer motorbike, having the nicer house, having a jacuzzi in my backyard, all those things. When I started to lose everything, yeah, at first there was this threshold of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now and how am I going to survive? But then when actually was taken away from me, and there was absolutely nothing I could lose anymore, I was like, you know what? It's such a relief. There is nothing now holding me back from going anywhere but forward. So the first few months, scary, absolutely. I mean, I had to sleep outside with minus 36 degrees Celsius on the streets in Stockholm, not knowing where my next meal or my next hot drink would come from. And it's absolutely scary, but I used it as a key motivator to get where I am today. And I have no regrets. It was the worst and the best thing that happened to me at the same time.
Yeah. It seems like those events in life happen. It's a squeeze and it's uncomfortable and we don't like it. We don't want like to see it happen, but it's like leading you somewhere, right? And in my case, things were really not working out too well with my previous contracts and staff writing and ghost writing. Opportunities were wearing thin. The connections that I had were going sour. Suddenly, it was still a really strange thing that like even there was nothing even coming in my inbox for a while in 2024. Like that's just an unusual situation. Doesn't happen even today.
Yeah.
But for that short period of time, that's what happened. And I made calls, I sent messages, I sent emails, I left voicemails, and it was like nothing, cold calls too, cold pitches.
Yeah, and I've had the exact same thing when coming up in the industry, and I'm not nowhere close to where I want to be. But getting those no's at that point in time didn't frighten me or didn't scare me or didn't, got me irritated. And still up until this day, it doesn't, because every no that I'm getting now is just a step closer to a yes instead of, why am I getting this no? Why am I not being accepted? Why doesn't this door open for me? And it's just, you know what? I've had all the no's. I've had nothing to lose. And I'm betting it's probably the same for you as well. When you came from a point where there's nothing left, the no's don't matter either anymore. And it
Yeah.
gives you a freedom to just focus on the how do I get the yes.
Very well said. Yeah, that's like the piece that I was kind of conscious of but couldn't quite explain. Exactly. The pride kind of gets out of the way and
Oh, yeah.
your inhibitions get out of the way. And now you're willing to do things or have conversations you weren't really willing to have previously with people you might not have had them with at all.
Oh,
And that's,
exactly.
yeah.
When I look back at how I lived my life before everything crumbled, and I look at the wishes I've had for a long time of becoming an actor, I always held those thoughts back. I always pushed those dreams to the back of my mind, and I was like, no, I need to focus on a stable income. I need to be liked by everybody that is close to me when it comes to my work circle, when it comes to family, friends, whatnot. And I didn't dare to reach out to people because, who am I? What do I have to offer? But when everything is taken away, all of a sudden you're not scared to reach out to strangers anymore. You're just going to go on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatnot, and you're going to start sending out messages because you already have the no. The only thing that is left is to get a yes. And what is there left for them to judge me on that I already am not a critic of myself?
Absolutely. And the way it panned out for me, just for listeners and viewers who might be curious, I ended up with a full-time contract in big tech and 3 promotions within a year or in under a year. So things have been going pretty well for me since then. And it's just kind of welcomed in and ushered in a new phase. So as far as like building your career as an actor, what is the most important piece? Is it getting IMDb credits? Is it headshot? Is it everything?
It is showing up on time, respect other people's times. It is knowing your lines and be genuine. I mean, go out there, meet people, network, everything combined, IMDb credits, whatnot. Yeah, it is all nice and fancy, but the most important thing is be true to yourself and consistency. I mean, yeah, knowing the right people, being in the right place in the right time, having those IMDb credits, it's really nice. But if you don't show consistency, if you don't show dedication, you're not getting anywhere, no matter how fancy your first IMDb credit might look. You get a fancy part, you get the IMDb credit, but if you start slacking off, or if you are waiting for others to hand it to you on a silver platter, you're lost.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for people that want to get gigs internationally, not just within their locale?
What worked for me is just starting to reach out to people. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and those are 3 really useful tools as an actor to build your platform and to start connecting with people. And for sure, you're not gonna get a reaction back from everybody. You don't need the whole ocean, you just need the cups of water to keep yourself, from suffocating, basically. So just start reaching out. And it worked for me. I started contacting people in South Africa. And through people in South Africa, I'm now in touch with somebody in Canada. Before that, I reached out to somebody that was in Berlin, and through Berlin, I got into contact with people in Los Angeles. So don't be scared, write them a message. You don't have to write them a novel. Just tell them who you are, what you aspire to be, what you have to show for. I mean, how are you pursuing to become an actor? And make a clear distinction between, do you want to be an actor or do you want to be famous? Because those are 2 totally different things. If you want to be an actor, you're reading plays, you're studying plays, you're putting in the work, and you've got something to show for it. You speak from the knowledge of the industry, and that attracts the right people. That will get your foot into an international market.
Yeah, I've heard before that becoming famous is more contingent on it's more of a dollar figure than a body of work. Do you think that's true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be totally honest right now. I am nervous all the time. I have a high anxiety level. I'm filled with self-doubt, but I'm not gonna let it stop me because of the love for the art. I'm really not looking forward to fame. I can only imagine the impact that's gonna have on my life and on my anxiety level.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but it is something that comes with the art. And yeah, finding a balance for yourself, for every individual, I mean, that's the most important part. But if you're doing it for the fame, you're chasing a buck and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, the anxiety piece is so common among creatives, and there's something completely irrational about it. Just sometimes everyday circumstances make you nervous, even though they shouldn't, or you don't, perceive it at something that's normal.
Unfortunately, very true for very many artists. Yeah, I mean, to everybody who I look to for inspiration, and that could be established actors, but that could also be my close personal circle of friends that are artists as well. Everybody has that sense of doubt, that self-criticism, but we use it as a tool instead of letting it hold us back. And I think that is a significant mark of somebody that is meant for the industry.
I seem to recall reading at one point that Winona Ryder had issues with anxiety, and the way that she dealt with it, which I found pretty insightful actually, is like hard boundaries around work. Never starts earlier than 10 a.m. Make sure there's like a self-care routine at night. And I was like, that's pretty insightful.
Oh yeah. Whether you set up a routine, I mean, look at us now, our time zones are way different. So setting up a routine for me is quite impossible, honestly. And that's a part of the industry as well. But I do take my moments to balance myself and to step away from it all, to put my telephone on mute, to not be connected with social media, to be out of reach and work with animals a few hours per week, just to keep control of who I am and get back to the basis of feeling good in the moment.
Yeah. How important is it to follow one's dreams?
Oh boy, it's a matter of life and death. I mean, I had a conversation not that long ago with a dear friend of mine. He is a young filmmaker. He worked with me on a short film before. Amazing talent. and we talked about pursuing dreams and whatnot. Now, if you don't chase your dreams, what is scarier? Being old and gray and perhaps in a wheelchair or at least behind a stroller and say, I wish I had? Or do you want to look back and say, oh, I tried. I failed, but I tried. Yeah. And, you know, for me, pursuing your dream and having that sense of fulfillment and having that sense of love for yourself to pursue the dream also means that you'll generate the compassion and the love for the other human beings around you. If I would do something that I hate, if I would do something that just feels like a hamster wheel to me, it's going to have an impact on how I view world economics, world politics, on how I look at my neighbor. But when I'm following my dream, no matter how up and down this roller coaster ride in the industry is, the grass will never be greener on the other side because I'm choosing my grass patch.
Do you have any current challenges or struggles you're looking to overcome, or do you have any resources that you wish existed?
Like any filmmaker, I wish I was a millionaire already so I could start creating the movies I want to make. Yeah, you know, I think the most critical hurdle I'm facing right now myself is that what's next? And I guess that is for every actor, every artist, filmmaker, any creative, what's next? And it's always the same hurdle of who am I going to contact? What can I do now to get in touch with the right person? What can I do now to start working on a project? Where can I post myself? Who can I talk to maybe get myself in a position to do the auditions? And in this phase in my career right now, I moved to yet another country, so I have to build up a whole new network again. And that is, you know, a challenge in itself. If you talk about resources, yeah, like I said, I'm working really hard on my project Faces. I've got an amazing team of actors put together now to start shooting marketing content, which I hope will generate some backers, some sponsors and whatnot to get the movie made. But that's all logistics and timing, patience, and just consistency once again.
Yeah. I have a few friends in the film industry, so this issue of funding does frequently come up, and that's the big one, right? Making sure that you've got the resources required to make your projects a reality.
Yeah, and it's the, you know, investors are looking for what names have you attached to the movie. Well, if I could, I would hire Denzel Washington on the spot, but I'm not able to afford him, so I can't connect his name to the project. So who am I going to connect to the project that is actually going to be interesting enough for the sponsors? So it's kind of a catch-22. You want to make a movie with good actors, but you don't have the funding to attach the good actors to it. And then again, I also want to give the smaller names, the unfamiliar faces, an honest chance in the industry, because there are some seriously talented actors out there that never see the spotlight.
I guess in that sense, it's kind of like the startup world too, right? Like they're not just curious about cost of acquisition, how much it costs to get a customer. They want to know who's on your team and if there's anyone notable and if there's any names they recognize. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, filmmaking, everybody thinks you write a decent script, you grab a camera and you're done. I would say, yeah, exactly. I wish, yeah. The marketing, the business side of the industry should not be forgotten. So every that is just trying to be a filmmaker, I mean, respect to you. I wish you all the best of luck. Do due diligence, do your homework, get out all the aspects that is involved of actually getting it to a screen.
Yeah. Do you have any concerns over AI, or do you have a sense of where things are going to be going with AI?
You know, it's the ethical question, and since the arrival of AI, it's been a question in the mouths of many movie makers and artists. Yeah, AI does produce a lot of stuff, and yeah, it takes over a portion of the market. But I do still believe that the integrity of true filmmaking is still much larger. AI could be a very good tool for planning, for logistics, helping you figure out some practical stuff. But I don't think we're even close to having it replace true actors and true filmmaking and decisions by directors on the spot when they look at a scene through a monitor and a cameraman that works his angles. So I'm not too worried about the use of AI just yet. And I think a lot of up and coming filmmakers still stick to, the passion of humans and real cameras and real scenes.
I think so. And the film industry has some challenges. And when I talk about this, I'm kind of talking more generally about Hollywood. But I think if we kind of get back to making good movies, it's not that the sequels are awful. It's not that people don't want to see more Marvel characters. It's not that people don't want to see reboots. But we're kind of over it.
Yeah, I think that, especially when you mention Hollywood in that sense, I think the balance has been lost a little bit with the productions coming out of Hollywood. I look at international productions. I mean, most of us know Squid Game by now. The productions coming from Korea, the productions coming from Japan, productions coming out of India or Europe, they tend to show a little bit more the style and character of movie making as it was in the 80s and 90s. And I do see some productions coming out of Hollywood which try to bring back that style, but they could do a little bit more of an effort, I would say.
Yeah. The idea behind Spark Infinity, our origins, how we got started was you need infinite amount of inspiration to continue to create content and be prolific and show up. How do you stay inspired?
That is a very, very profound question. How do I stay inspired? Yeah, I think it comes from every possible source that I encounter on a daily basis. To give you an example, last year I attended an event in Los Angeles and I met this amazing young child with her mother. Her name is Poppy, 7 years of age, and just an abundance of energy and love and caring for everybody that she got in contact with. And mind you, there were dozens, if not hundreds of children her age there. Poppy just stood out head and shoulders with the energy she brought. We had an interaction throughout a few days because of the event that was there. I talked to her mother, which was very apparent that she got it from her mother, with the same energy. And the interaction for 4 days inspired me to write a book. Then another example is I have worked in healthcare and I saw some serious events there, which inspired me to write a drama movie. But then I work with animals, which gives me inspiration to write something much more magical and fantasy driven. I guess the short end of it is be open for inspiration because you will find it in every aspect of your life.
That's great. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm just really wondering what you hope to achieve with Spark Infinity and what drives you to get in touch with the unfamiliar artists.
That's a fantastic question. I think what would be great is to grow this group to 3,000 and beyond this year. I think we're on a very good track to do it. Amos has told me that 5,000 should even be possible this year, and I've seen some people do it much quicker than I have. And to what end? To really give artists and creatives and creators an opportunity, like a mic stage and audience. This is the biggest thing that's missing. We talk so much online about conversion rates. Right? Let's increase the conversion rate of our website. But if you have 0 people coming and your conversion rate goes up 20%, you still get 0.
Yeah.
Or if you have 20 people coming to your website per day and your conversion goes up to 2%, you're still talking about very finite numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas if I could have like an Ellen effect or an Oprah effect, cause a virtual table rush to happen or a merch table rush to happen
Yeah.
for other artists, that would be the coolest thing to me.
Awesome. But then specifically, because I was already contemplating this question for a long time, you're working in tech.
Yes.
What keeps you from working in the entertainment industry?
I have been in the entertainment industry. That's pretty much where I spent most of my adulthood, if not all of it.
Yeah.
And so I was in the music business for a very long time. I was a community builder and we did various live events, eventually moving a lot of our stuff online when COVID happened. I have 12 books, got an award for one of them.
Nice.
And yeah, the I don't know if it's a departure into big tech. I wouldn't call it a departure, but in a place where my life crumbled and none of the signals were noisy, or what the signal to noise ratio they say, right? So there
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
no noise going on, and there was one signal, and it was a message on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, would you be interested in using your skills as like a movie and TV reviewer or writer?" I thought, that's interesting. Like I did that a long time ago. I don't know how anyone would know at this point because that's most of that stuff's not online. And that's what ultimately led me into big tech. So I think
But
Spark Infinity is really me reinvesting into what I've learned and sharing that with others as well. And I think just like you know, in the film industry, you're looking for funding. I want to create an independent income from this too, and maybe even take it full time, but
right.
still with the hopes of like, what can I set up? What can I create? How can I give back?
So do you feel like the creative side in you is still stronger than the side of you that keeps you in big tech?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have I certainly don't have a thought out answer to that. The things that I'm learning in big tech are transferring nicely over here. And my desire to continue creating has not dwindled at all since being in big tech.
Right.
Because I'm also a realist. Like, this opportunity might be here for a while, but it's not, chances are it's not going to be forever. And that means I got to be thinking pragmatically about this.
Well,
Maybe not my next career move, but at least start building something that is mine and I can fall back on.
right. Yeah, see, I'm sticking in that sense more to Morgan Freeman's words. I'm gonna do it or die trying doing it. I think
Yeah.
50 Cent said it as well, you know, get rich or die trying. I like Morgan Freeman's phrasing a bit better in that sense. When he talks about his acting career, he says you're just gonna give it your 100% and there is no fallback plan. And for me, that the incentive of not having a fallback plan just keeps me waking up and writing the next email and start reaching out to the next person and doing the auditions. And for me, I don't see any other outcome than have a sustainable career as an actor.
No, I think you're right actually, and that's a good little challenge there too. Some things for me to think about. It's not necessarily that I not all in. It's not necessarily that I haven't gone all in before. It just it's about being where I am at this point in time.
Yeah.
But many of my mentors said you ought to have some kind of stable income and then build stuff on the evenings and weekends. And I
Yeah.
now that I've experienced it, I can see the benefits of that way of doing it too.
Oh, I absolutely believe there's benefits of it too. For me, I mean, I understand why people are not as crazy as I am. I mean, it is incredibly stressful. And I have my breakdown moments that I'm sitting with my hands in my hair, although I have no, but, you know, sitting with the hands on the top of my head, just wondering, what the am I doing? but then small glimpses here and there just make me realize, like, yeah, but this is it. It feels like home. It genuinely feels like home. Emilia Clarke said at one point, if there's anything else you could do in this lifetime besides acting, then do that. But if you feel like there's nothing in life that gives you this sense of fulfillment, then go for it. But be prepared for both the best and the worst experiences of your lifetime. And, you know, that knowledge of I'm gonna have some really bad moments pursuing this dream is worth it for me. But I do understand other people's perspective of it. You know, I do want to have a little bit less stress in my life. So
I've heard the same general mentality in the music industry as well. I think Josh Ramsey from Marianas Trench said he couldn't imagine doing anything else, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. Although, you know, Gene Simmons from Kiss, who's a titan of the industry, was a little more of the thing of like, if we get to play music at all on the nights and weekends, I consider myself lucky. So he wasn't trying to like, I'm not saying he wasn't trying, but like he was, that wasn't part of the plan at first to like make an income being a band. And that band got to where they are ultimately, really hard work.
Yeah. No, I do understand that. I mean, of course, you know, talking to my wife, there are some serious conversations. Talking to family members, there are some serious conversations. And of course, the topic of get a side job or get a, you know, some kind of income to work on your acting on the side. I'm 41 now. I'm not gonna risk opportunities passing me by or having to say no or having to reschedule or missing a phone call or missing an email because my very much underpaid job in another country is preventing me from checking my phone on a regular or anything like that. It comes down to choices and it comes down to the opportunity you are given. And luckily I have an incredibly understanding wife that is absolutely 100% supportive of where I'm trying to push myself, so I can afford to do this 100%, still given the fact that I need to work hard at it to actually also start seeing results of it. So it's all individual roads for every artist, whether it's music or, you know. And the thing I want to add to that, I don't know how many people have that, but for me, from teenage years, there was also always this sense of lacking of fulfillment. You're doing a job and you're having fun at your job. I had amazing colleagues, I had great experiences, but there was a sense of fulfillment missing. And then you move on to something else, and there was yet again a lot of joy, but a sense of fulfillment missing. And then when everything crumbled and fell away and I just reached out to acting as I need to keep my sanity, basically that was what it was. I need to prevent myself from crashing, burning, getting into a depression, or worse, reaching for drugs and alcohol. I found acting, and the first time after many lessons I got up on stage and I performed in front of a live audience, and I had a room full of people I couldn't see because the spotlights were on me. I just felt free, and for the first time ever in my life, and I was 38 by that time, I had this sense of fulfillment. This is what I'm supposed to do, and it's not going to be an easy road, but I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
Bottom line is, I'm going to be cheering you on 100%. If there's anything I can do to support you on your journey, just let me know.
Hey man, Spark Infinity already gave me an amazing platform, so I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And I'm really going to be supporting you just as much, and somehow sneak in a motivational comment every now and then to make sure you stay on track with your creative journey as well.
Absolutely. I think we're building a nice little bit of momentum this week. It was kind of staying stagnant at 1,500 members for a little bit. Then it kind of rolled over 1,600, and I said, okay, let me get back to work. And here we are. 1800.
You know, just keep on grinding. I'm gonna push your name out there on all the platforms I have, and I'm gonna hook you up with some amazing, talented artists as well, inspirational coaches that for sure are gonna bring the needed marketing to your platform.
I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, and the group's been loving it too. It's got some great comments from Savannah, who likes to watch many of our lives. Always grateful to you, Savannah. Is there anything else we should talk about?
I think the importance of not letting too many others judge or convince you of choosing a path in your life.
Yeah.
You know, one key element that I truly found is don't share your dream too quickly with others, because it's not their dreams. They won't understand. I believe it was Steve Harvey that said it once as well. You know, sharing your dreams too quickly with others is just gonna put brakes on your path. Move in silence, share your victories with few, and stay consistent. And I see a lot of young people, and it really frightens me a lot. I see a lot of young people stuck on social media, striving to be famous for the wrong reasons instead of standing still and discovering who they truly are. And you know, there's some really great coaches out there. My absolute favorite coach I've had to date is John Franklin Stevens. Those kind of people are truly set out to make you follow your career true to who you are. And whether it's an artist, whether it's any profession, whether you want to be a big tech mogul, be cautious with sharing your dreams with too many, and stay focused on your path, honestly. And yeah, I hear you laughing.
Oh, I have to agree. There's some excellent closing remarks. Don't share your dream, or at least be very, very careful with who you share it with. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Move in silence, share your victory with few, dedicate yourself, and be consistent.
Definitely. Oswald, this has been really great. Thank you for sharing today. You're welcome to share your links in the comments of this post. And of course, we'd be happy to have you back sometime as well.
Absolutely. I would love to come back to you in the future.
Looking forward to it. And Spark Infinity for watching. See
Thank
you again
you.
soon.
See you.